I think, yeah, there it is. What's up, people? Present and future. I am going to do the thing I always have to do and do the social media shill and share this. So give me 1 second. Bear with me. Feel free to skip ahead if you're from the future. My mic's a little funky. A little better, maybe. Hello, welcome. I am gathering this so we can start talking about stuff. We're going to talk about the new episode of Chucky. Just had the newest episode on Wednesday. It's been a few days, but with, again, this new series of these live streams to discuss it, I want to give folks a few days to watch it. They are actually adding it to Peacock next day. There was quite a kerfuffle about that this week, about them being a bunch of morons and going back on the Peacock next day as advertised from the first season. Howdy, howdy. Thank you. I appreciate it. We've got some robots. We've got some dolls. We've got everything. Can't complain, right? So let me do that thing again. There we go. All right, going to do this. I'm going to go into the sticker, give everybody a chance to kind of come in here as well. You know, get the notifications on the subscriber box. Give them a couple of minutes. Everybody gather around. We're gonna have a fun time. Chill Sunday. Did this Sunday last week a lot later, and hopefully not going to be that late tonight. Already starting a bit earlier, and I would like to do these on Saturday, but they've kind of been shaping up better to do on Sunday. So next week's I'd like to. What's up, Erickson? Welcome, man. Absolutely happy to have you here. I am curious to see what day I'll be able to do next weekend, but I'd like to pre-announce it more than like a day or like 12 hours in advance next week. So here's hoping. But welcome, everybody. I am going to, while I'm sharing this, what did everybody think of the new episode? This live stream is going to include spoilers. Has been a few days now. And so, yeah, what did everybody think about it? That was a bit of fun. So what are y'all thinking? Absolutely, man. I've been doing great. Thank you so much for stopping back in. I've been doing all right. So we had like that basement issue, but as you can see, everything was saved, salvaged. We went ahead and moved it upstairs. Probably could have survived staying down there, but I wanted to be on the side of caution, so we've relocated the collection space. I've spent the past like couple of weeks setting that up and kind of transferring stuff. But yeah, all the stuff made it so far. It didn't lose anything. Basement flood, so we're good there. And yeah, pretty lucky. So been doing all right. I'm super curious too. Every week I watch it, my fiance turns to me and she's like, "So what do you think they're doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Like, 'cause seasons 1 and 2, I'd rant for like 45 minutes and be like, "Oh, they're gonna do this and they're gonna get this guy in," and this I have no fucking idea. Like, we're gonna get to it, but like to talk about character development, you got to think like Chucky as a character 35 years ago. He just had an easy goal. He just wanted to like alienate this child, and he wanted to kill Eddie Caputo, and he wanted to kill Mike Norris. And this past week, we saw him actually make it to, like, he launched a nuke. Like, he started with that fucking knife, and he launched a. Why can't I get closer? There we go. And he launched a nuke this week. That's character progression. That's character development, baby. I didn't even post this yet. I'm having one for sure. All right, here we go. Your story. Go ahead, put this phone down. All right. But yeah, so I'm pretty down for it. Howdy. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, I agree, man. Like Don's cooking. Like I get that some folks are kind of, season 2 had some stuff in it that might have been like, oh, this is too whatever. But I agree, man. Like Don with this season, it is different. Like, all right, so let me go ahead and crack into my notes here. Actually, one more thing for this phone. Let me crack into my notes. And we'll go ahead and start it right there with something that I did not think about. I didn't think about it at all. And it's something that as soon as it happened, I watched it live, so I couldn't pause it, but I wanted to pause it, just to kind of absorb it. So the episode opens up, and pretty immediately, um, we find out that Devon Sawa's death, his President James Collins' death, is 100% legitimate. It wasn't a dream kill. It wasn't like a dementia-induced hallucination. It wasn't anything like that. He actually did that. He actually like bit part of his fucking face off and ripped his eyes out. Made sense to get the eye for the retinal scan for the nukes. Um, but it was interesting to see right off the bat. All right, like he is dead. And so immediately I'm like, okay, well shit, like where are we going from this? You have that like intense scene where Mrs. President is, kind of she was a bit more like I get that the episode she's kind of losing her shit, but she's remaining really calm for someone in her situation. Like if I found my partner like eyes gouged out and like I'm not just lighting up a smoke. Like I don't know. I start finding somebody to get their eyes, I guess, too. But it was pretty interesting to see her demeanor kind of like devolve throughout this midseason, and now that her husband is gone, that kind of like compass she was trying to like, she was like hiding all this shit from him, and now he's like, it's really not even a factor. Doesn't even matter. Um, so it's kind of interesting to see that. I'm curious like how she'll go along with that. I'm also like, they're gonna kill her off. I'm sure like they're probably gonna orphan these poor kids. Um, so I'm curious what type of through line she has with, her ethics storyline with Price. Um, I would think so too. Like if they're actually military or Secret Service, anything like that. So, okay. God, there's so much. I didn't write this part down. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward to something actually before I forget it. It'll probably be all over the place, but if you guys watch the episode, you'll follow along fine, right? You got it. Um, I love that something that was pushed in the beginning of the season was that the kids wanted to expose Chucky. It wasn't just that they wanted to get him and kill him and get revenge. They wanted to get proof to pretty much vindicate themselves and anybody who's been deemed insane or delinquent or anything like that because of their claims of Chucky. And I love that. I love that idea. Nobody, after all this time, has said, oh, let's actually get evidence to prove to everybody the doll is actually alive. That hasn't happened yet. We saw it kind of in Cult of Chucky with that fella, where Andy tried to prove it, but to no avail. It's all some special effects tricks, which is crazy. Like in this world, they thought the head was a special effect trick. In this episode, I think it is, Grant is like, oh yeah, the makeup you put on your doll is incredible. Like if I saw that thing in my house, like the dying old Chucky, I would have beaten it with a rock. Like there's no way that's just a doll with some like rubber makeup on it. No fucking way. I would not let that thing anywhere near my kid. Crazy. So the fact that people like, I don't know, I like that they want to prove it's alive. Because if I was there, I'd be like, that fucking thing is alive. I like that at the end of the episode, Devon actually records it. So here we have at the end of the episode, the Secret Service, everybody, Chucky, because that's something that happened throughout the episode. No more hiding. Chucky was done with the Joseph shit. He actually fully came out, started fucking killing people, making his way to the nukes. And he, fully revealed, and Devon actually gets the video of him, old talking and everything. I want you to get this in 8K, Devon. And I love that. And I'm really curious of two things. One, which one first? First one is with Devon. Are they going to be able to do anything with that footage? Is Devon even going to be able to release it? Because you got to think, this was like an isolated incident in the panic room of the White House in which an accidental nuclear explosion went off. Like, if that video comes out, like, government looks really bad, and there's a killer doll hanging around there too. So there's a lot of layers to that, to where I could see you could get bad guy government coming in and be like, hey, actually, you got to keep quiet about this. We can't let people know about what really happened here. There's the other side of it too, where this dude Price, who is like some type of like, I don't know if he's Secret Service, a deep state, kind of like they kind of do that with the double thing, which we're going to talk about. I love the body double thing. Yeah, like the cover up feels like the making his way to the nukes is so funny. Yeah, it really is. Even with the context, I think it's hilarious. It's fucking Chucky, and he went to the nukes. Um, I'm curious as well. Like, all right, perfect example. Bride of Chucky. It opens up with an unsolved evidence locker. We know that like files on these murders, and the FBI has had to have, lore wise looked into this by now. These string of murders for the past 30 years that have this good guy doll attached to them. I'm really curious to know if they're just going to be like, wow, we can't believe this doll is alive. Or I think it'd be really sick if, like, that government, the FBI part of it comes in and is like, well, actually, we have heard about this and now we know it's legit. And here's all the cases, tied to it. I'm curious if there will be any connection or if they'll all just be like, wow, I can't believe this doll is alive. Or they'll be like, oh, like those doll remains that we had in like 1990 whatever that went missing, that actually makes sense, stuff like that. They're not going to pull that up specifically. I just mean, I'm curious if they are aware of the cases that are currently tied to a killer good guy doll, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not explaining it well, but I'm really curious just because now that it's like it's fact that people in authority or in like footage of Chucky exists. I want to know what they're going to do with that. And I think it's a great subplot. The subplot of not only trying to expose Chucky, but then, you know, Chucky being exposed, getting pushed down. They're fighting against it being exposed. Um, really cool, like espionage right there. Um, That's what I've always thought because these dolls, they go back and forth. I don't know if they go back and forth, but that's the way I always understood it. A lot of folks will say that those dolls were the actual dolls that were rebuilt. But yeah, I always took it as these dolls were made based on those original dolls because they were different. So, but I've like had a lot of conversations with folks that have taken that differently, that those dolls are different. I agree with that. I always thought they were different, just puppets made based on what they said they looked like. Um, so yeah, like it'd be. Could you imagine if they just like if they're like the kids are pleading their case and they're sitting there, they're talking to some like stone faced agent while they're pleading their case and they're trying to sound not insane and somebody walks in and just drops like a fucking book of a file and they're like, yeah, this is like, yeah, like we know we've been trying. I think that'd be neat. Um, I think that would be a huge thing, and I'm curious, like, how it would work because that doll made it far enough to be anatomically correct, so when that body died, did it decompose? Like, because he had organs, so we saw, like, I think if Chucky does die in these bodies, he's pretty much, a little human. I'm really curious, but also, Glenn was perfect doll preserved, so their rules don't really matter, which is fine, which is cool. We can have fun with it. Um, yeah, it's a perfect example of them the rules not really mattering. Um, yeah, they could definitely get to it. I've been wondering that with the bride doll and just the bride look. Like, will they ever bring the stitches back? Um, I don't know how you do that outside of Chucky having like a Joker arc and be like, no, this is the real me. Like, I don't know how else they would do that. Um, but again, like you said, like if they were able to bring that look back, it'd be total service. Even if it was the original doll too, the fucked up hair, like that looking fella right there, like that would be beautiful. I think they could do that. I don't think anybody if we're still questioning how it works, I I don't know. We're probably not getting what Don's putting down. Cause yeah, I agree. They could definitely do that. Um, because Bride would be the only body that still exists, right? Because he's not died. Well, that doll did with the head, but like, yeah, he didn't die in Seed technically. That was the same doll that was in Curse because he saw the stitches. So Bride would be the only body that's still in one piece out there. And I'm still convinced that this head's alive. I'm really bad at this. I'm convinced that it's still alive. I get that Kyle, there was like some like passive line that Kyle actually finished it off in season one. We didn't see it. Not buying it. I can see that head still being out there somewhere. I don't know how it would be alive. It's been years at this point, but we've let worse go. Yeah, I agree. Like that's why I never thought so either. Like I've always thought that they were different dolls. Like I've always thought that they were exactly that. They were based, built. um, like inspired by again, like as they were described. Because like Tiffany's hair is different, Chucky's hair is a bit different. Like there's a whole lot of differences to where like it kind of seems like they're based on that, not out of like description, but you take a good guy doll and then you describe. No, he had like these scars that went this way. No, it's that way. Um, yeah, I agree. I think I assumed always lore wise that that's what they were doing, that it was different dolls. Um, uh, oh yeah, and that point as well about them actually using, like, you got to think about that too. Like they wouldn't like. Do you think the evidence is gonna like exactly that? Are they gonna get the actual dolls from the murders? Like those would be evidence, right? On unsolved crimes, they never solved them. Um, that was the other thing. Did Glenn kill that cop from the end of Bride of Chucky? That cop died, right? Like when he jumped in his face. I'm pretty sure that cop died. But yes, I love the that little side plot there for it. Oh, so let's go ahead and go right back to that. Seeing the reveal, the pan backwards and the actual like back of a head reveal of the haircut, and I could immediately tell that that was goddamn Devon Sawa. Casting Devon Sawa as the president, killing him off, and then bringing in a body double played by Devon Sawa, I think is single-handedly the greatest piece of television and writing that this franchise has ever done. And I never would have called it. I fucking love that. And it's hilarious. It's one of the funniest fucking things this series has ever done. And I love it. I get that there are folks who are kind of done with the Devon Sawa gag. I think if it was a bad gag or if it was unfunny, I would agree. Unfortunately, for y'all, it's fucking hilarious. Exactly. See, that's the other thing. I was talking to my fiance, and it's like, how can you be mad? Like the dude also acts his ass off. Like he's actually a fantastic actor. Obviously, most of these people are, but like, oh, there's a cat at my door. Which one is it? I'll be back. I can see what cat is at my door. Depends on which one it is. They've lost access. Hi, you can come in here. That's Captain. He has joined us. He wanted to talk about the new episode. But yeah, and the way he every single character is completely different. The way that like he's not just showing up to get his paycheck. Like the meeting Randall Jenkins, aka my newest favorite Chucky character. Great moment. What are you doing? See, he's excited. He's all about it. Absolutely, Callum. Shoot away. What do you do? Sorry, I was catching up. Let's see, Randall Jenkins, and then her refusal to actually hang out with her new husband. Oh, speaking of Seed of Chucky as well, we were just talking about it. What happened to the souls of the Jennifer Tilly's babies? I don't know how to put this because it sounds weird because you're talking. It was so funny actually. My last live stream was like partially demonetized for a minute, and I had to kind of appeal it because it said that it was like not suitable for all viewers, even though like nothing happens. I'm just talking about Chucky. And it's probably because of phrases that I'm like the one I'm about to say. But they died. Like it sounds terrible. Again, you're talking about like the fictional babies. But yeah, as far as I understand it, when Gigi's soul was split into two and put into those babies, it pretty much took over their bodies. And then like I could say something else could have happened to them, but what vessels could they put them in? And we saw the bodies like blue. So it's not like the soul left and then the real souls awoke. I think they just got kind of like, what's a good word? Overwritten. At least in this universe, we know that spirits and hell, and that means heaven exists. Oh, that's fucked up, dude. Because they also got Jennifer Tilly in season 2, like actual Jennifer Tilly, which I still hate. It's still one of the like. That's probably the thing that the series has done that I'm like, that was dumb. Why would you do that? 17-year-old reveal, and it's just like, semi truck gag again. I'm curious about that. The way I like to describe that or explain that to myself, I guess, is because she definitely see that doll wasn't alive when they made Seed, but I was willing to let it go because I like the idea of a terrified Jennifer Tilly. Or I do have an explanation for this actually. I like the idea though of a Jennifer Tilly who needs to pretend to be a doll remaining quiet while she's being used as a weapon to beat somebody to death. But I don't know. It could be something like maybe like Tiffany didn't know the doll was alive yet. Like maybe Jennifer Tilly in doll form didn't like reveal herself. I got the impression in the first Child's Play that it kind of took a while. No other movie does this at all. Only the first Child's Play. Um, like it takes a while. I always got the idea for him to kind of like wake up in the doll body. Took a few days for him to kind of like come to and realize what was going on. Maybe but you're 5 years on at that birthday party. So this is what we're here to figure out. This is the hard maths. So maybe she was just really good at playing like dead for 5 years. I have no idea. Yeah, where is the Cult Tiffany doll at? See, I figured that the Cult Tiffany doll was the one that got again they fucking hate the Tiffany doll. The one that got its head blown off in season 2. Um, that's what I figured. Um, which again sucked because seeing season 1 and you're like, oh, let's go. There's that doll again. We have 2 Tiffany's, and it gets taken out immediately. Also, how did a gunshot decapitation kill the Tiffany doll when, like, what the fuck? Again, the rules don't matter. That's like the point of this stream. The rules don't matter, unfortunately. I wish they did. Yeah, that's I love that. Okay, 2 things of that shot. I love that shot because it looks hilarious because the expression on her face and there's like too many frames almost. They probably could have cut a few frames off it because if you stop it, I've done this. Slow-mo and stop it. Like it's perfect. It's just the Tiffany face. Uh like it's just the Tiffany face of the Tots doll. I love it because that's hilarious and it like, I think it's funny. 2, my Tots Tiffany doll is right there. I was gonna show her off, but I can't. She's behind the Chucky poster. The other thing I love about it is it means that anybody with a Tots Tiffany for about a frame and a half has a screen matched Tiffany doll. So plus sides to it. You're stretching. It's a big stretch, but a frame and a half counts. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Now they can say it's a replica. Yes. Yeah, I don't like I get that like Belle might be rare, but like fuck, like a lot of dolls are rare. Like I don't know, maybe they're going with the Woody thing from Toy Story where it seemed like Woody was like the last Woody doll ever. And they didn't have like an eBay gaggle of them. Um, give me one moment. My dog's about to bark. I'm gonna mute so y'all don't hear that. It's not happening yet. My fiance's getting food from the front door. Got a little DoorDash. She didn't bark. Oh, there it is. There it is. This dog is dramatic. This dog thinks everyone is here to kill us, even though she's not mean at all. She's like the sweetest dog. She just has anxiety really bad. Pizza delivery man freaks her out. But yes, let me see. Yeah, I always figured that the dolls were rare, but yeah, like I can't. There's no way. There's no way. Like these things were pitched to be like the Cabbage Patch Kids of this universe, and you're telling me there's no more good guy dolls in existence? Like the only one left is what? If you've seen the ads for the upcoming episodes, John Waters, who is going to be playing the creator of the Good Guy doll, seems like he has one still. Maybe last one in existence, but like I agree, it's like would nobody kept one? I'd like the storyline that like after hearing about all these murders and crimes that people were like, no, get rid of them. Like there was like a, let's get you. I don't know. But then again, you get rid of the idea of people are crazy for saying that there's a killer doll. But I think the series has progressed way past that. I think that that's something that I think a movie or two ago we should have moved past with it being a public refusal to accept it. I think Chucky being revealed, something they should have done a minute ago. Because I think that there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. I think you can chew on that. But yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious what happened to Jesse and Jade. I will always be curious what happened to them because I love Bride of Chucky. But I will always be curious what happened to them. I would at least. What's up, Mari? I'm so sorry. What happened? Oh, with the Jesse and Jade storyline. What's up, Mario? I didn't realize I was the same thing. Yeah, exactly. What happened to the Good Guy Factory? Like, what happened to any of this? What happened to PlayPal Toys as a company? Did PlayPal Toys file for Chapter 11 in like 1995? Like, what happened? Really curious. If Chucky exists in his own universe, could there not be collectible dolls made they could transfer into? What, like a different brand? Because probably, but the way that they've established the spell now, or at least the way his soul works with this spell, well, no, that could have been the way the multi-soul spell worked. The last time they talked about it, Chucky said that he can transfer his soul, but it has to be into a good guy doll. Has to be an identical vessel. So it has to be a good guy doll. That's what they were talking about in season 2. So I guess if he started over, but probably. I really hope we do hear about Play Pals because yeah, if we're getting John Waters introduced as the creator of the Good Guy doll, fuck, wouldn't he have been, part of Play Pals? Wouldn't he have been, an engineer, a toy designer, like a leadership figure at Play Pals? Like, or are they just going to pretend that it was good guys that made the doll? See, that's the thing. I love the Chucky franchise because it does adhere to lore, but it adheres to lore when it wants to. And that's only bothersome. I don't mind it. It's only kind of bothersome when there is lore to go on. Like Play Pals Toys is a company we actively saw quite a bit of in like 2.5 movies. So yeah, I think we would really, really find out what happened to them. I hope they don't drop it. I think it'd be great. Do you think Play Pals we mentioned? Yeah, I really hope so. Absolutely. Chucky Army, there were new dolls, or did every doll find for the army? It seemed like it was every doll they could find for it. So maybe like Chucky and Tiffany trying to find every good guy doll, but even then they only had 70 of them. Isn't that what they said? They had like 74 Chuckies on that truck, which is not a lot. Oh, I see. So let's say I see what you're saying, Callum. So if Chucky went to Spencer's in his world and got a doll of Chucky based on From Chucky Goes Psycho, could he put his soul into it? Fuck, they should do that. See, meta stuff is lowbrow unless if you're going like 4-dimensional with it. Like you have no idea what they're talking about unless you really know. That's that goofy shit I love. That would be funny. Exactly. Maybe made some yeah. It would be so funny too because if they did that, they would have dolls in the Spencers and they would look like they'd be perfect. That's another thing. I don't know if I've ever said this like live publicly whatever. But man, I've always had one big issue with Cult of Chucky. And it's the fact of when the weird feet, freak doctor comes out and he's like, I got the worst thing that could have ever happened to this therapy group and I got this good guy doll. and he's asked where he bought it. And he says, I bought it from Hot Topic. And that's so fucking disrespectful to Spencer's. That's like 6 stores down from them in the mall and have been selling Chucky dolls for like longer than I've been fucking alive. What disrespect. What brand deal was Hot Topic able to come up with that Spencer's Gifts wasn't? What are y'all doing? It was a piece of shade I didn't expect from the official Chucky films. Hopefully, Spencer's Gifts will get its recognition. My first Chucky doll came from Spencer's. I think everybody's did. I think everybody started. I mean, unless like maybe rich folks. I think everybody started with that. I could be wrong. Where's Caroline? I've been wondering that, dude. If I was Caroline, so again, through ads and stuff for the future stuff, I have no idea what's going on with Caroline, but it seems she shows up and it seems that she's still friends with Chucky. It seems like she's doing some type of voodoo thing. I am really curious. Is she going, does she still love Chucky and she just wants Chucky to be alive? But also, he kind of like just fucked off away from her to die. Like, obviously, he never cared for her. That's not what I'm saying. But like, will she recognize that he completely technically abandoned her at the end? Like, when he's like, it's only for a little bit. Like, she's gonna understand that she was lied to. That like he's not her friend. I understand that she's a sociopathic like 9-year-old, but really curious what they're gonna do with that because I agree. Like, what she has to be like taking care of herself like for how many months on end while this is going on? Yeah, where is she? What money is she spending too? Like, is she just living in a cardboard box? That'd be nuts. They sold the Tots Good Guy. They sell that on their site. I would lose my mind if I went to a Hot Topic and I saw the Tots Good Guy in store. Oh, but Curse or Cult predates the Tots Good Guy though, doesn't it? Cult was 2017. Was the Tots Good Guy was like 2019? We waited a minute after the Kickstarter. I don't remember. Dude, that's also crazy. Thinking about the Tots dolls. Like they used Tots dolls in the series. NBC Universal used Trick or Treat Studios dolls in their series, and then they said, "Nah, you can't make them anymore." So I am still really curious about that. I'm really curious about Tots and that license thing and how and why. Really curious. Yeah, I don't know if Lexi can take it either, honestly. I like Grant. I really want Grant to make it. So I don't know what it is, but I mentioned it briefly last week. I'll mention again briefly right here. There is something in the coming episodes. I don't know if it happened in this episode. I don't know if it's stuff to, theorizing that we're going to talk about, but people are upset about a leak in the upcoming episodes. And I don't know what that could be. Now, one thing I thought of that could really upset people, I don't think it would upset Chucky fans because they wouldn't give a shit and they did it last season. I'm really curious what they'll do with Grant because I could see Grant joining the team of kids, but what are they going to do with Henry? Because I don't see Mrs. President making out of this season, so I'm really curious what that is. Less than 300. I would have stocked up. I would have had a truck of 70 of them. Sub 300 a piece. That's crazy. I love that. See, we used to have it so good. Trick or Treat Studios was making Chucky dolls. You could get them for cheap. Well, cheap. Cheaper than like $3,000. Let's be real. I love Henry. Dude, that kid can act. It's crazy. So, all right, let's go back to the notes here for this episode because one of the funniest things out of this episode was the surprise cameo hatred for Chucky's nemesis at the beginning of Seed of Chucky. That's something I saw going into this episode was that there's going to be a Seed of Chucky reference, a small one, and that's what it was. It was Santa. That's really weird that they would word it like that. Maybe they'll get it back. I don't know. Because I don't think NECA has an exclusivity on it because Mezco is still able to make their dolls. So I wonder what the parameters are. NECA's had the license for a minute. Let me see a doll, NECA. You gonna make more? You gonna put that license to use? We gonna get some more going? But I love that Chucky stuck to his guns, and at the end of the world in his vision for World War III, he targets the 90th parallel north And again, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And it's so okay. God, I hate this. I hate it because it makes too much sense. So again, I think I've talked about this before, but I've been wanting to make retrospectives, like deep dive retrospectives into all of the Child's Play films. And the way I've always taken the first movie, like when thinking about that movie as a film, not as a fun Chucky romp, but just looking at it as a movie. I've always liked it as a horror story. Um, yeah, the Ouija board, and then the game came out this year too. I know the game was announced before, but yeah, the Ouija board is really weird that they're still able to do that. But we couldn't get the middle finger. I don't know. It's weird. It's really, really weird. Um, but as a horror film, I think the original Child's Play works because it's not just a killer doll chasing around a 6-year-old. There's something sad about like a kid, and I guess it's because like as a kid, I remember like wanting things and wanting toys, and like your parents like finally being able to like you provide it to you. I remember like having that item as a kid, having those couple items, having that moment where you finally got it, and so the idea of now you want out? Come here, you're not getting out. The idea of a child getting their greatest dreamed gift and it being their worst nightmare, I think is it's not deep, it's not philosophical. It's just a different level of horror. I think it's not just a killer doll. It's the destruction of innocence is kind of what that movie covered with, pretty much, that's exactly what it is with Chucky's tormenting of Andy in that first film. And I think you bring that up in other movies. I think it's kind of like been said, like in Curse of Chucky, when Nika asked, you never actually killed Andy Barkley, did you? And he says, I did enough. I killed his childhood. I think that stuff shines through. But it's something that nobody would ever really talk about in the Chucky conversation. Is what are the themes you get from the first Child's Play film? And that's one of them that I've always had. And I find it funny in an ironic way because I feel it's totally unintentional, but also incredible that now here we are. Come on, Captain. You wanted in here. You want to hang out, man. You wanted to talk about Chucky. This is what we're doing. This is what it's all about. Would you not watch it? Now that you have that juxtaposed with Henry, like Henry just had the worst day of his life. Jump scared awake FNAF style by his mother. His about to find out his dad is dead. He's got this fake imposter dad that he knows. I love that scene at the end where he's like, "That's not daddy." Like, I love that scene, or that, it's true. Like, that kid knows who his parent is. Like, he just went through that whole thing. Randall throughout the whole thing too. I think Randall Jenkins is actually really funny, and I don't want to say a good character because we barely know him, but he's watching this stuff unfold. He has no idea what's happening. And I love the moment where he goes up and he tries to cover Henry's eyes from what's happening. Way too late, by the way. It's already happened. It's done. Trauma's set in. But I like that he tried. Henry, like his doll, Joseph, like Henry completely up to the very end didn't understand what was happening. So I'm really interested to see a version of it to where Chucky himself isn't going to be there to prove to this kid that he's horrible. It's going to be up to other people to convince Henry that that wasn't Joseph, that's not Joseph. So like the psyche in which like they can play with, I guess, with Henry. It's very interesting, very curious where they could go with that. That kid is either going to be like the best protagonist ever, or he's like too far gone, cannot be saved. Really curious. Yeah, exactly. He feels like he says at the beginning of the episode, like, I can't lose you again, Joseph. And yeah, like that kid is not going to understand. He's not. So people getting killed left and right. The thing that he thought was his brother wanted to start World War III, and it fucking disintegrates in front of him. Yeah, bad day. Bad day to be Joseph Collins, or I'm sorry, Henry Collins. Bad day to be Joseph too, because he wasn't there. Not a good time to be in the Collins family in general. Immediate family. Present Captain on stream. Where you at, buddy? Oh, he is. There he is. Now he's moving. Come here, buddy. Okay. Come on, be the star. He's a large boy. All right. Yeah. Henry had it bad. I heard they had plans for an evil head Chucky, a curse head. Did you actually hear that they had a plan for a curse head? Because if so, I will fucking cry. I did see, so my buddy Jonathan, Japhex, posted what looked like some prototypes for a different look. And I'm curious if photos of those other prototypes exist. And I wonder if people who might have those photos like me enough that they would show them to me. Because, yeah, I want to know what Tots had cooking. There's no way it was just those two dolls. And the one I wanted the most was Curse. So they're planning Evil Head like from one, and then Curse, and then the melted head, like the melted head from Chucky. Because there was a video from Sean Clark, Malfunction. I don't know how you pronounce it, but Malfunction is the channel name on YouTube, and he does like a bunch of tours. He knows fucking everybody, and he did tours of the Tots the Tots warehouse with Chris Zeffiro a couple years ago. And he asked him about, oh yeah, do you guys have the Child's Play license, or I'm sorry, the Chucky TV series license? And Chris Zeffiro is like, yep, we got it, and we're doing it. And it didn't happen. So I know development on these takes a while. So not the fact of why didn't you get to it? It's just like, what did they have planned? What all did they have planned? Good guy curse and the stitched up head and the stitched up final head. The good guy curse. They were gonna do the. All right, let's talk about what I did get, which was a new Chucky episode. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking cry. Okay, I'm sorry. What's the sauce on that? Like, what? I'm just so curious. Like now, where can I find more information on these doll heads? Okay, let's get back to the episode. I'm gonna. You think they'll explain why he disintegrated this time? Possibly, but I just figured it was chalked up to like being tainted, like his soul being tainted. Like it was like a Damballa curse because he used the word curse a few times. That's the way I envisioned it. Because he was aging. It was like he was actively dying. This was a too. So I think he was cursed, and I think that's what it was. His shoes got left, and his shoes got left for a reason. Like, I'm not saying it's a big reason or he's going to be reincarnated into them, but it might be something where they use those for the seance. But I thought it was very, like, his overalls and clothes disintegrated, but his little shoesies didn't. I'm curious, too. I really hope NECA is working on some stuff. I do like the dolls that they made. So I'm really curious what they got cooking. Maybe Chucky possesses Henry. Let's see. Oh, that's true, Mario. They could have done that. Yeah, Chucky possessing Henry. Yeah, if Chucky gets his powers back, what? No, he didn't know Henry before he was cursed. I was gonna say maybe he already did. I don't know. They could do that. He would need a way to do that. Now, the one thing that I've been thinking of is Chucky's soul is tainted, and Damballa doesn't fuck with him. Is like the official explanation as to why. Is she able to like resurrect Chucky into a body? Is she able to transfer his like somebody else's soul? Like, I don't know how external voodoo works in this world. But yeah, I'm really curious if they're going to do something like that. I feel like if Chucky is revived, well, okay, he's going to be revived. I'm curious how much of a role in that Caroline's going to have, is a better way to say that. They had plans to expand the Ultimate. I remember they had the Bride in the works too. Hey, maybe someday. Guys, be a lot of money in R&D if they got into this prototype. Wow. Crazy. Curious what Jennifer is up to. Yeah, maybe something like that, like a conduit possession. I don't know. That's one thing I do like about the season a lot, no matter what. Like, we obeying all the rules and lore. I still like that we are getting it and all that stuff. I love the spooky natural aspect of, like, there's messages on the wall. There are ghosts trying to warn people that you're about to be killed. I'm really curious the through line on this. I don't think I saw people bring it up, and somebody used it was in a Facebook group, and somebody made a post saying, so I guess Chucky's just immortal now because that's the way the episode ends. Chucky ends up getting shot, withers away, dies, and completely fucking disintegrates. We actually got to see his skeleton, like a Chucky skeleton, on screen. I think we saw the X-ray before, but yeah, now we got to see the full thing. And we saw Brad Dourif in the ghostly flesh right after, which it just feels so good. It's so cathartic. It's so gratifying to see at the end afterwards, to see it say, get special guest star Brad Dourif. I loved it. But it ends with exactly that. Ends with, ghost Chucky walking the halls of the White House. And somebody brought that up as Chucky being immortal because he dies in one room and then completely manifests in ghost form in the next room. And I could see why that would be like kind of referred to as immortal, but I don't think so. I think there's going to be I think there's stuff that's happening that we don't know yet. I'm curious about how far the ghosts go. Like, is the White House actually just a very haunted place in which is very spiritually, I don't know, charged, active, where they can manifest? And so since Chucky is spiritually strong, that it's nothing for him. He's actually like one of the most powerful ghosts they have. It could be something like that. Maybe they're going to power scale ghosts. I'm really curious but I don't think it's just for fun that he died and then immediately manifested. I think yes, it is, but I think if Chucky died in another place, I don't think it would have happened, is what I'm saying. I think it being in the White House, being this haunted place, this place that we've already seen ghosts become active, really curious. And especially to have these ghosts there. Like Joseph, who did not die in the White House, was in the White House. So how's that going to have like Charles Lee Ray ghost in the White House with all these other ghosts? Really, what can they do with that? What will they do with that? But seeing a ghost Charles Lee Ray, just write that down. That's what they did. They wrote it down. They're like, that's it. We're doing that. That's which is great. I did see that still. I don't know the context of it. Very curious. I don't know the context of it. I've tried to think about it, but the only thing is, again, I come back to, I don't know. Like, sure, he's looking at it, but in what way? Is it currently alive? Is it not? Is this some type of weird vision? Like, what? Like, yeah, I have no idea. Like, it's like, yes, I see it happening, but yeah, I don't know. If anybody else has theories too, like, we're here to talk about it. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what theory y'all have going into these next these 2 episodes we have left of the season. I can't believe it's fucking April, and we were delayed like 4 months or 5 months. And I'm like, I can't believe we're already at episode 6. Technically, we should have been done like 5 months ago. But I still can't believe we're at episode 6. I'm sad. I've been asking that for years. Where's Tiffany's sister? I think that's the last way you do it. If they kill Tiffany, if they kill Jennifer Tilly's body, that's the only way you can get Tiffany back in the flesh, would be through, oh yeah, remember that sister that was mentioned offhandedly in Seed? She's a twin, actually. I would not give a fuck. Again, I've been thinking about that forever. Where is her sister? Does this retroactively mean Angel Nadine was real last season? That's a real fucking question. Are there ghost rules? I'm too worried about the rules. I got to get my brain off of it. It doesn't fucking matter. We've covered this. Ghost Nadine being real. Was it spiritual place? It was a Catholic school. I'm going with a high probably. A high maybe. Also, why not? Who gives a shit? Yeah. Let's say yeah. What is Dom Mancini going to come to my house and like beat me to death? Yeah, it was real. Sure. Because I like that. I think that's actually really fun. And again, I like when something new happens that you can look back at the old stories and be like, oh, that kind of adds up. Okay. Um, it's kind of like how they explained how Charles got killed that night twice in two different ways. I think it's fine. I think there's a way to explain both. But I think it's funny that the franchise has covered that twice with two different ways. What does it mean? It'd be so cool to see a Chucky museum in the series, kind of like in Scream 6. Oh, what if that's John Waters? Maybe John Waters is like, yeah, I created this good guy doll that had this fucked up story happen about it, and I've been obsessed with it. That'd be cool. Like, what if they walk in? Like, I could totally see that. They enter like John Waters' place, and they're talking like, "Oh, Chucky this, Chucky that." He's like, "Oh, I know. Don't even. I know." He's like, "I've been waiting for this. Here you go." I think that would be a fun way to get him involved and not in a victim mindset. Because when John Waters shows up, you have to use him and you have to use him well. Him to show up to be like in the corner is not going to work. He's got to he's got to have something to say. He's got to be a personality. So if they were able to make the most interesting and hilarious paparazzi with him, the creator of the Good Guy doll, like this should be pristine. But I agree. Yeah, somebody'd have a museum. Yeah, like have the bride dolls displayed. Have I don't know. They could have the melted mound from the end of 2. That still existed. The blood is what made the new doll. That technically that thing probably just got tossed. That melted body with the head blown off of it. What other pieces existed? There's a theory in the past few years. Now, again, it doesn't make sense for the voodoo, but there's been a theory the past few years that I kind of like. And I like it because I don't know if it has to do with the props. I've actually never looked into it that far. It's something I've been wanting to look into. But somebody mentioned before, if you look at Tommy in the dirt, or yeah, when the Tommy doll is getting buried and its face is bashed in, that actually matches Bride Chucky more in the Stitches department than Child's Play 3 would have. Because you have to remember in Child's Play 3, he lost. Where's he at? He lost that entire portion of his face. And the bride doll does not stitch it back on. That stitch is not full on the other side. They both keep going, or the one on the cheek stops. So there's the theory that the evidence locker doll that Tiffany actually got wasn't Chucky. It was the Tommy doll from the unsolved murder of Joanne and that guy who was kind of a dick to Andy. What was his name? Phil. How's it hanging, Phil? How can I forget? I think that's interesting. Now, how Chucky's soul manifested in that doll when she resurrected it, we're loosey goosey with the rules, but I kind of like that. But yeah, thank you, Mario. Phil. I don't know how much of a delay is on this as well. I'm sorry. I can't tell if it's like 10 seconds or like 20 seconds. There's just a little bit because of the way it connects. So I'm sorry. So I think the point of what I'm saying is I think it'd be interesting if the through line to that is there's actually parts of Chucky from Child's Play 3 that are still out there. I don't know what relevance that would be, but the museum thing, I would love to see just like, remember this? That's a lot of fan service, but I think Chucky, I think you can build in fan service and it'd be good. Scream is a great example of that. Scream 6, building in this stuff. Remember this, the guy's varsity jacket and the TV that was dropped on Stu. We love that shit. Let's be honest. We love it. Mm-hmm. The cursed doll has a touched up face indeed. It definitely does. The thing that I thought of with that, now the only thing it doesn't really explain is the hair, which you could explain with the wig. But the only thing that I kind of explained with that to myself with Curse was that those stitches are there. They're just still makeup over. He just didn't uncover all of them. Is the way I've been able to make myself sleep at night. But also, there would have to have been a second good guy doll because he had clean, fixed up overalls. So they got a doll at some point to declothe him so he could have a fresh, setup. Oh, and also the clothes he was wearing got chopped up with him. So he would have needed a fresh gigs. So that's the way I've always thought about it. I'm probably overthinking it. They're just not there. I love the idea exactly with the hairline. I love the idea of Chucky, like from like Seed, like shaped big to make it look good as a good guy doll. I just love the um, and I actually can't even put it past him after this last season. This last season, half of it's been about him wearing makeup, so I can totally see that. Yeah, no, I also like my real answer is they're just not there. Yeah, Curse has like the actual. I love how Curse's points and the bangs go up and down. Seeds kind of does that and it goes up, but like the Curse has a full head of hair. Jealous, um, and I love how it works. Yeah, like if you do it well, like there's a way of like self stroking yourself to where it's like, all right, we get it. Like all right, Force Awakens, we saw Star Wars Episode 4. Like that's what are you doing different? But yeah, like there's a way to like harken back and just say, hey, look, we remember where we came from. We remember the roots, the fun parts, the reasons why you're still in the theater. And it doesn't have to be predicated on that. And so yeah, I think Scream's been really good about that. Chucky's always been really good about reinventing while still acknowledge what's come before. Don Mancini confirmed he was asked recently. So we got the news actually last week. We briefly talked about there was a new Chucky movie announced. Now I guess it wasn't officially announced. He um, stated that he is developing in the early stages of developing a new Child's Play movie, which is super stoked. Um, or makes me super stoked. But I'm also really curious because also in this past week he confirmed that he has officially pitched season 4 of Chucky to the studio, and it's not gotten a renewal and it's not gotten a cancellation yet. So the jury's still out on what's going to go on with Chucky season 4. Here's hoping for it. But I'm really curious because I'm curious if they're the same plans. Does he have a plan for the movie? And if he can make that into a series, he'll take the movie idea and make it into a series. Are they two separate ideas? Is it Chucky season 4 and is the movie project something else? Like again, I said it last week. Could Tiffany get a spinoff? So in that, I think it was in that interview or maybe a secondary interview, Don confirmed that he has no intention to ever reboot Chucky. It will never under his this series that he does. It will never be rebooted, never be remade. It's one continuous story, which I very much respect. Um, yeah, I could see that too. Like, I think that would be cool if that was like a 2000s version of it, I suppose. Because yeah, the hair. I mean, even when he's a good guy doll, it's like the regular good guy doll hair. And then when he's awake, he's like, yeah, actually, no, like I'm gonna like he's in there with a comb, just fixing his stuff. Um, the new movie could stand alone. I think Chucky's good like that. They all can, but like it's still gonna be the same storyline. Like the Chucky that we see in that movie has gone through the events, unless it's that head, has gone through the events of the TV series and everything else. That's the one way you introduce a Chucky fresh, like you did with Curse, kind of. You bring this head back. This head it didn't have anything to do with anything the past like 3 or 4 years. I think that'd be crazy. Um, I think that, and I think it's because it's had the same hands on it. You know, um, Hellraiser sure has had a lot of movies since the '80s, but shit, they are all not all good. A lot of them are bad. And yeah, Chucky is something it's been catered, it's been curated, it's been cared for over the years. It's the franchise that I've always felt has been the most cared for, which I respect. Hollywood making movies. I love movies, so the fact that making them is such a cutthroat, horrible, sometimes evil thing that happens in the process of making them, to have them made by good people with good intent that care about what they're making. They're not just hiring some fucking schmuck every 2 years to make a Chucky movie because it makes money. It is Don Mancini's. I like that. Because also I'm not convinced that people say they're sick of Don Mancini. I'm not convinced that anybody else would be doing anything worse than what's happening now. And I think what's happening now is fun. Um, I think folks, again, we talked about it last week a little bit. Don't take Chucky too seriously. Like hold well the pride for the original and the scary fact, but the series has changed. Like over half of its existence, it's been partially, funny. So we just gotta acknowledge that, and it's okay it should be scary. That's something I like about this season. Is scary is a decent word for it, but the tension this season has been really high, really good. Like going into this episode, I wasn't like nervous, but then like the moment the kids get to the White House for their movie night, I'm like, oh shit, like this is happening. Like Chucky's like getting the gun, like the mission is a go. Like we're doing this right now. So yeah, it made me a little nervous. Like, oh, are we gonna get ready for a big character death? Like, uh-oh. Um, I do too. Like, I'm fine with it, and I'm glad with it because I think it looks better. I think it looked great in season one. Looking back on season two, I don't know if they actively changed it, but there's just some shots in season two, like his face looks big. Like it's like they used a lens to make his face look like awkward. But in season three, Jesus, he looks incredible. That's actually a note I have right here is puppeteering because explicitly that in season three, not only is the puppeteering great, and I think it's very fluid and looks incredible as far as like, realism, but the designs of the dolls are so good. Old Chucky looks amazing. His skin, it looks fucking real. The way he blinks, the way his eyes track. Like the puppeteering for this season is, in my opinion, some of the best that we have seen. It's incredible. I loved it. The close up shots of him, the way they were able to kind of rig it up. I was really curious to see how they rigged up because that doll, like so the way they make these dolls, and I don't know if they still do it because a lot of them these days aren't full animatronics. They're like marionetted with green screen folks, and the head is animatronic. But the way they had Henry, if you watch the episode, Henry is standing there and he's got like a blanket over his shoulders. And I'm curious if he's got something on him that's helping him hold the doll because the doll is the animatronic head and it's a very stiff body. So I'm really curious how they rigged that up for this kid to be able to comfortably hold this really heavy animatronic. There's so much of the way that works, and it looked great. It looked amazing. Absolutely. I love Alterian. They do incredible work. I think Alterian is an example of okay, so you watch the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and as the movies go on, Freddy's makeup kind of gets worse and worse and worse. Um, and I know that folks have had contempt for Alterian's work um, before on Chucky, but I gotta say, it gets better every single time. Every time they get a crack at it. With Seed, they were told, emulate the bride looks, and they did it on. It was very quick. If you watch the behind the scenes stuff, they did that stuff very quick, and it looks great for as fast as they did it. Curse. Tony Gardner has been open and admitted, I wanted to try and do, good guy doll here and there. He's openly admitted to not really being a fan of how he did the good guy doll in Curse of Chucky. I understand, but I also like that it looks different for a reason. It's got a creepiness to it outside of it being a Chucky doll. It's because it is wearing a mask. There's an evil behind it, and I like that. Cult of Chucky is a different style good guy doll. It kind of brings it back. The arms are way too short on the cult good guy. But other than that, it looks great. Yeah. So every single time pretty much it shows up, it gets better, it seems. Season two, I think there were some great shots in season two, and I don't give season two a lot of shit because they had a lot of Chuckies they needed to have. They needed to have the Colonel, buff Chucky, good/regular Chucky. They had a lot of Chuckies to fuck around with. They had the jawless Chucky, a lot of stuff, and a bunch of Chuckies in between there, I'm sure that were missed. TV series, the stunt good guy doesn't have eyelids. Oh, yeah. I've never really noticed that in the series. That's a great point. It kind of helps make it creepy too. Maybe the puppetry is better be seen because I have to focus on two versions of Chucky. Okay, I was rambling. Exactly that. I'm sorry, dude. Like Mario. Like absolutely. That's exactly yes. Focus on two versions of Chucky as opposed to like the different version of last season. See, we got this. Face is a bit chubbier too. I did notice that. Like he looks a little like, which is fine. It's cute. We dig it. I I love that. I love, like, looking at and discovering new differences with dolls. My thing is I'll notice something different on, like, the Bride doll or differences between the good guy dolls from the original films, and I'm like, "How did I never, like, notice that?" Like, lately, so I have that Ultimate Chucky head right there that I'm wanting to rehaul and customize into more of a Child's Play 2 Angry Chucky, actually Child's Play 2 because the Ultimate Child's Play 3, maintain. Um and looking at the eyes, they're just like in Child's Play 2, his eyes that look so piercing, they're pretty much regular good guy doll eyes. They don't have like human irises in them. It's like doll eyes. And it's one of the only movies that does that. I don't know. It looked great too. Like it looks awesome. And he doesn't look any less alive for it either. But yeah, just looking into that recently, I realized that. I was like, fuck, I never noticed that before. I love finding out new stuff about these dolls. Ooh, real quick, just because I just have his name written down, Price. All right, I understand that this Secret Service, the Agent Price fella, is I don't want to say stereotypical, but he kind of is. You know, you're having this political kind of I don't want to say spy or espionage; those are the wrong words. But you have this governmental figure. There we go, and he's supposed to be, kind of, you know, not trustworthy. He's supposed to be kind of a shitty person. I think he's fine. I think he's interesting. But the thing I like about him, and the reason I dig him as I guess as a character on the series, I think that dude can fucking act. I like watching him, if that makes sense. Like in this, and it was exclaimed in this episode. Like when he looks at Randall and he's like, "Abort, motherfucker, abort!" Like I thought that was funny. Like this dude has like a cadence and delivery and timing to him that I really enjoy. And if he's somebody that for whatever reason, or if in any way gets reused in a future Chucky project, I'd be down for that because I like this guy a lot. If he joins the squad, oh my god, the scene too. This episode had a lot of funny moments. The scene where they're discussing like the presidential body double. That is like again one of the most genius things I think the series has done to again have a character play the president, get killed, return as his own body double. Just hilarious. Never expected that. To have that and then to like there's only a couple of people obviously that can know this is big like hush hush like no deep I think it's there's all this fucking real world shit that goes along with it so I don't like the buzzword deep state. um People love talking about dumb shit like that, but fictionally in Chucky, with this type of aspect to it, I like the idea that like not even the vice president knows the president's been killed. So you have that really funny moment where they leave the room and you have the fake president and the vice president who are supposed to pretty much be buddies. And these guys don't know each other. And the vice president equally is awkward. He's just like, and that's the end of it. Like I thought we were gonna see some funny interaction, and it's just like, no, just leave it to your imagination. These two fucking people that again are supposed to be friends, at least work friends. Nah, good luck. Yeah, the way he did that too. Also, like, I love that he can't read the room. I'm sorry, I keep itching my nose. It's like on fire right now. Like, it's also on fire of how much I'm rubbing it. Jesus. Ah. I loved that his little goofy like at her. He can't read the room. There's also that moment where she walks into the his room and he's like, you know, I've always really liked, I've always been good at pretending to be other people. So I know this is weird, but like he was definitely gonna try and hit on the fucking president's widow, wasn't he? He was gonna try and be like, "What if you just pretend I'm your husband?" Which, like, you can't blame the guy for trying, but that's fucking weird. But I like how they chalk it up to again, like President Collins was well-rounded, he was adjusted, he was educated, soft-spoken, and this guy's just a fucking goober. He's just here. I love the juxtaposition of Devon Sawa's roles. Yeah, that's literally what he did. I love that everybody in this episode is like, "Look, your husband died. That was what, 5, 6 minutes ago? Get the fuck over it. What are you on about, lady?" Like, I find it crazy that that was most of the episode towards Mrs. President this time. There's also that weird moment too where she's talking to Coop, the Secret Service agent, and he like slowly puts his arms around her, and he's like, "I'm heartbroken, man. He's a good man," and she like doesn't know what the fuck's going on. She's trying to like get the fuck off him, and he's holding her there. What the fuck was that about? I thought maybe like something was happening, and he was supposed to like hold her there so she didn't leave. But then when like just Price walks in and looks at him like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?" It made me wonder, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what was that? What are you up to? That's what I thought. I thought maybe he had a needle he's just sticking her. Like, I had no fucking clue what he was up to. Baby man president, your loving husband of yours just died. Cry me a river. That's the thing about Price. Like, I can't read him, which I think is great. I did like the end too, where like all of this has happened. She has they get there at the very end, right as Chucky like fucking dies. And so they've just realized that, holy shit, that fucking doll that, my son was carrying around, that was doing it. I love when she turns around to Price and she's like, "You get away from my family. You get away from my boys." And he's like, "Actually, fair. Bye." Like, I loved that. I was like, all right. So, like, he's not like, he's a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong. He's got to be. And he's going to die in some glorious fashion, I'm sure, fictionally on this TV series, his character. I say for the YouTube algorithm. Um, yeah, yeah, fucking do it. Do it, Primal. Yeah, just fucking squeeze her to death. Oh yeah, they did that too. Those will kill you. That's also fucked up too. Like her husband just died. Let her have the one cigarette, dude. Like get off her ass for one moment. Yeah, Price has got to be up to something. I mean, he's 100% up to something. I'm just really curious, like, what is going to be like his ultimate, like, shady government role? Because also they're just like I find it funny. I know that he says that, this has happened before, where a president dies in a private circumstance. We got to use a body double for a little bit. He seems like not concerned. Like the president dying was another day at work for him, which I find kind of weird. He wasn't stressed about it at all. Like I've been more stressed at work with way less stuff than he was having to take care of the president's dead body and double and orchestrate all this and cover it up and like this is Tuesday for him. He's fine. I loved that too. That got my ears perking. She's like, "I'm gonna go visit my sister in Chicago," and it's like, "Yeah, we had to drop Chicago," and she said it twice. So I'm really curious. Like, I don't know what we'll get into there. Again, I don't know who her sister could be. Maybe her sister is another person who looks like exactly like Jennifer Tilly, or another person who looks exactly like Laura Jean Korsecki. Chorsecki. I don't know how it's pronounced. Because she's a reused actress as well. She's in season 1 and 2, actually. She was the crazy nun in season 2. I think she was in season 1. Anyway, that is true. Yeah, Chucky being a ghost from now on. So the vibe that I'm getting, and which I love, like it's episode 6, and we have 2 episodes left to go, and Chucky is dead. Like it's happened. Like he usually has a big death in the series, and then it gets rectified. But like this one was that. Um, in season 1, it was when the kids thought they killed him in the trash can, and then they didn't. That was the big fake out death for that, I feel. Um, and then in season 2, you had oh, there was a very specific one with season 2. I was just thinking of it, left my brain. Oh, it was Lexi with the chainsaw at the very end because he's like, I'm the last one, you can't. And she does. That one was like his like big penultimate kill where you didn't know that, he was actually the Bell doll or the Bell doll was actually a good guy doll, one of the two. Um, that Bell doll would have had to have been Chucky the entire time. But that doll was there when that bomb went off with Jake's stepbrother. But Chucky couldn't have been revived into that doll using Damballa because that was after the exorcism. So Chucky's soul had to have been in the Bell doll. I'm gonna call Dom Mancini real quick. Cause like that's what I love about this. You think about it, you're like, hold on a second, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. If this is all happening because Chucky had a botched exorcism, when did he put his soul into the Bell doll? Well, the doll was Chucky with makeup on, but I'm just wondering when. Because that doll was in the room. Like it was like at the table when Chucky came up and hit that like whatever type of improvised explosive device that was at the beginning of season 2. Because that explosive device killed that kid and Chucky. That Chucky at least. They both died from it. So I would think if that Chucky was alive, it would have killed it too. So the Bell doll must have been made alive after the fact? But that means Chucky would have had to have split his soul again. In Chucky season 2, we were cleaning up the extra souls. I guess maybe it was just alive and it just didn't kill him. That makes the most sense, I guess, right? I love that for whatever reason, each week I stream myself losing my mind to the logistics and rules of the Killer Doll TV series. Thank you all for tuning in for this. That's pretty fun though. It's cool. I was just saying I love that. Abort, motherfucker, abort. It's so funny. Yeah, I like Price. I fucks with Price. He's cool. Yeah, we're just having a good time. And that's what I like about it. Like I would rather the show be fun than to feel like Star Wars fans or Marvel fans sitting over here like, actually, that doesn't actually work because there was a Child's Play graphic novel in 1994 that stated that Chucky, like, I'd rather not do that. I like to have fun with it. If it connects, you know? And I think a lot of it can connect if you're looking at it like this. It looks pretty good. Chucky may be a ghost right now, but we'll see him back. Oh, absolutely. We will definitely see Chucky as a doll again. He always comes back. But that's what I love. So we are at such an interesting point in the series where 6 episodes into the season, Chucky is dead, and they're saying that he's dead. So it makes you ask, not only, all right, well, how does Chucky come back? But you're like, we have 2 full episodes left to go, and he's already dead. What are we going to do in the meantime? In the meantime, we're going to fuck around with Ghost Chucky. That's what we're going to do. And that's so exciting. So again, Brad Dourif back in the ghostly flesh. And they're definitely going to have some fun with that. It seems like we're going to probably get like a full episode out of it, which is good. At least a full episode. The shot from the trailer that just like, I'm so curious what they were doing. There's a shot in the trailer of Brad, and Fiona, and Tyler Babish, and I forgot his name, but the little kid who played young Charles. Like, they are doing some weird, spooky, natural ghost shit with Chucky, and I'm really excited to explore that side of it. I'm really excited to see a Brad Dourif play Chucky this day and age. You know, it's not like Curse of Chucky, which we've only seen him 3 times, which I think people need to remember. 3 times. Child's Play 1, Curse of Chucky, and now. We never see this man. We are so lucky when we do see him. And also, this will probably be the last time we see him in the flesh, because that is another thing that we haven't even talked about yet. This past week, Brad Dourif had an interview with somebody in which he revealed that outside of Chucky, he is pretty essentially retired from acting. So outside of returning when Dom Mancini wants him to for Chucky, he's retired, which I love that we have 2 Academy Award nominated actors headlining this series, this franchise. Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif. Both of them have said, I'm mostly retired acting, except for this side thing, which happens to be our silly little killer doll show. That is like, that's special. Again, man, like that. Who's doing that? Who's like, actually, I'm retired, but I'll always come back to do this. Like, there's love, there's passion to be had by the people that make this series. You can't emulate that. You can't copy it. You can't fake it. It's special. That is true. I didn't see that, I didn't see that mentioned, but it makes sense with what they're talking about with him being a ghost. Because that's what I was saying earlier, is that I think if Chucky died in a random place, he wouldn't have, like, manifested as a ghost that fast. I think it's because it's this severely haunted place of the White House it was able to happen. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I really hope, Brad does Chucky for time. He and I think he will. And I love that because there's parts of this that I don't think anybody likes talking about, and I sure as shit I don't like talking about it. But nobody's getting younger, and nobody's going to be here forever. And I'm glad that while we have everybody, we're getting this. We didn't wait too long. Like, take for example Star Wars again. Take Star Wars. They waited too long. They waited too long to do episodes 7, 8, and 9. They waited too long in the sense of one, like you can talk about the story wise, but Carrie Fisher. They waited too long to do the story they really wanted to do with her. She died halfway through it. And the fact that oh, that's true too. No, I could see it. That's a good theory, honestly. Um, him doing that because I think he mostly does voice work because that's really what he does for this. Um, because also I don't know how he would return to a human body. I also don't think we'll ever get Chucky only in a human body. Like he will always be a good guy doll. Like, does that make like do folks agree with that also? I don't know if that's a weird opinion. I think we will see like this. We're gonna have an episode or two where he's spiritual, and if you're a fan of Chucky as a character, you're going to really enjoy it. But for the grand scheme of things, like he has to remain a killer doll. I think. Um, but you can do a lot in between those before you return him back to status quo. I like when they mess with things before bringing it back to the status quo. Um, um, but getting back to what I was saying about, the way they waited too long for Star Wars. I'm glad that they did not wait too long for Chucky. Some people, say that with Nightmare on Elm Street. They want new Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And Robert Englund has openly said, I don't know if I can do that again. I mean, we got one more in me, but outside of that, I can't suit back up for 7 more movies. And you have that with these people, these iconic people who are synonymous with their roles, who live them. Not literally, they're not their characters. Brad Dourif is not just Chucky. He is much more. But luckily, he brings him to life. And so to know that you're not always going to be able to call him up to say, "Hey, I want to do a new Chucky project." If you wanted to do new Chucky, you'd have to get somebody new. I'm glad that we're not in that era or anything. I'm glad that we are getting new Chucky when it's here. Um, when Brad is here, when Jennifer is here, when Dawn is here. I'm really glad that we're getting this when we are. And like that's the other thing too that I find special about this. I might have mentioned this before somewhere, but I got into horror around like 2007, 2008ish. I was young. I was like 11, 12ish when I was really getting into horror. I was 12. I think it was what would have been? I think it would have been my 13th birthday. The main thing I wanted, the main thing I got. I remember coming home and seeing this oddly sized bag on my dining room table, and it's because my family didn't know how to hide it, and they knew I wanted the Chucky doll from Spencer's. So I came home from school one day on my birthday, and Chucky was waiting for me, and so that was for my 13th birthday, and um, around that time, 2007, 2008, we have like Rob Zombie's Halloween. There's, there was some smaller stuff like When a Stranger Calls and things like that. Some good stuff, but really few and far between as compared to now. And I remember back then just knowing, waiting for like a Friday the 13th reboot sequel, even though I didn't care for that movie that much when it came out. I wanted more Jason movies. I wanted more Freddy movies. I wanted more of this stuff, but it was so few and far between back then. And then it just stopped. Like after um Halloween 2 and I think Nightmare on Elm Street, like, remakes. Like, we didn't have anything mainstream horror for a while. There was some great, indie stuff in the meantime, but, like, it being prevalent, it wasn't. And I always knew that, it'll come back because horror does that every decade or two. It ebbs and it flows, and it has moments where the public consciousness is okay to get away from it. They don't really care to talk about it. And there's other times where everyone's like, yes, give us that. And luckily, since I want to say 2018, 2018's Halloween, I think really told studios that there is an appetite. There is, even for franchise horror, you can bring these killers back. And I always knew that, the Mount Rushmore of killers would come back. And I just think it's crazy that after all these years, Michael came back. And technically Leatherface came back. Ghostface came back. But the big two that everyone thought, Freddy and Jason, they're nowhere to be seen because of rights issues, obviously. And in all of this, in horror being so prevalent and popular, Blumhouse blowing up, Jordan Peele's films blowing up, Shudder, you have a fucking horror streaming service right now, Fangoria being huge, Bloody Disgusting, having a merch line in like Spencer's or Hot Topic, wherever it is. Horror is fucking huge right now. And I like, of course, it was going to come back again, but to have horror back and to, well, be popular again, it never truly leaves, but to have it back and to have my boy, our boy, reigning, having current films, having other films in development, 3 seasons of television. The whole point of my entire 5-minute ramble there is to say, I feel very lucky. I waited many years for horror to come back to a point to where I didn't miss it. Because again, I grew up in the early 2000s. I missed big horror. I wasn't there in the 80s. It wasn't a lot in the 90s. And by the early 2000s, we were getting Jason X and fucking Halloween Resurrection. Nothing to be seen here. Jason X fucks, actually. And Lexa Doig from the first season is in that. Jason X is fun. But Halloween Resurrection isn't fun. That shit sucks. So I'm glad that we have good horror again that you can look forward to. And Chucky is there. He's relevant. He is. Yeah, I feel bad for Nightmare fans. I very much feel for you. I love fucking Nightmare 2, man. That's Robert Englund signed. And Ken Kersinger, but you can't really see Ken's signature. So I miss them. I love Freddy and Jason too. But I have my guy. So I think it's great that we're having this renaissance and our fucking boy is going strong. I agree. Yeah, it is. It is time to bring it back to the big screen. It's 100% time. If we truly do get another Chucky film coming up soon in the next couple of years, and it is not theatrically released, can you stop hitting my blinds with your tail? Yeah, I love you too. And it's not theatrically released, it'll be a personal affront against me and God. It'll be unfair, man. Chucky on the big screen. As long as I will let the series go, or will support. It's not up to me. I'm not fucking. I mean, 10 seasons. You're greenlit. But I would be fine with the series running its course as long as they would want. Again, Don has pitched season 4. I'm curious. I'm wondering if Don is like, I will do this as long as they let me. I could see him going that route. I'm sure he has ideas for everything, but also like, man, season 3 is strong. You got to have. Not that I doubt that he does, but you got to have something crazy, something fun, something inventive for season 4. This season, it almost feels like there should, I don't want to say a break after this season, but like the lore dump, just the blowing out of just the story, the characters is great. It is just, it's just so much fun. With how popular the show has been and how big it is, the Universal Halloween Horror Nights, can't imagine why they wouldn't have. Yeah, it would have to be. It would have to be. We have not had a theatrical Chucky movie since 2004. So, and I've never gotten the chance to go to the theater to see the new Chucky film, which is an experience I would like to have before I die. So, I've seen a Chucky film in theaters, but I want to see the new one. I want to go there opening night, see it with all the other folks. Heard Don say in an interview that he wants to keep doing it for as long as he can, which means he doesn't want to. Yeah. I don't think Chucky in general is going to end. I like, if the show ends, we will get another movie or two. And I do think it's proved itself to be financially viable enough for that to happen. I think the budgets for the movies, I think Curse and Cult each had a budget of about 5 million a piece. And I don't know how much the budget is for the series. I don't know if it's budgeted per season or per episode. Really curious to know what the budget is. But yeah, I'm curious with, I'd say, the jump in popularity since 2017 that Chucky has had, how much more that Universal will be willing to invest in it. Do I think it'll be back for Halloween Horror Nights? I don't think so, just because I think they tend to not do the same IPs year after year. They tend to kind of let them rotate. Chucky will be back at Halloween Horror Nights, I'm sure. Probably not this year. Right now, I think the rumors are Nightmare on Elm Street and Universal Monsters getting another one. Universal Monsters makes sense to do another one back to back because, one, there's so many different monsters, you can do that differently. And two, like, I think it's kind of fitting. It's Universal. It's kind of like, how you not gonna have them hang around? That's cool. You got to see those in theaters. I agree. The Chucky films belong in theaters. Not being able to actually have a release of Curse and Cult in theaters has really sucked. I do think we'll see Andy again. I don't know if we'll see him in this season. I think when Chucky dies for good, Andy Barkley will be present. I don't know if that will ever happen, but I do believe if it does, Andy will be there. Don't know if he'll pull the trigger, but he will be present. I've actually thought about that. So, like I mentioned last week, my day job, 9 to 5, I work in movie theaters, that sort of thing. And I thought it'd be really cool to rent out a theater to host a public big screen theatrical showing of Curse of Chucky. I don't know if people would care about that 11 years later, but it's something I know I would care about. I'd also only be able to do it in like one place. So like, it would only help for people immediately close to me, but, or you could travel, but I think it'd be really cool to do that. Cause you can do that these days. It's a lot easier, especially post COVID, that the movie theaters want your money, to rent a theater and kind of be like, can you play a movie that I picked? Some of them will do that for you. So call your theaters if you ever want to have yourself like a private theater screening of a movie that you've never seen in theaters. Some of them might do it for you. I feel at some point they will end Chucky, but the question is when and how. Everything comes to an end eventually, but enjoying the ride. That's my thing, because it seems like Don wants to do it as long as possible. It seems like no matter what, even if there's an end in sight for Chucky, there will be a contention. There will be like he's not really dead, or he'll have this easy way to come back, or anything like that. I think they will leave it in a sense of just in case, or in a sense of to not fully kill him, to be like, well, he's still out there running around. Watch out, Chucky's still out there. I agree. I'm curious how they would do it. Super curious how they would do it. I have no idea how they would do it. I realize we've talked about, this is Talk of Chucky. We've actually gotten, okay, real quick, actually. The one note on here that I wanted to cover, because I covered Killing Santa. Oh, the line delivery of him hitting the button and saying, fuck Santa, is one of the most, like, incredibly well-delivered lines Brad Dourif has ever delivered. I love the scene in Seed of Chucky where he gives his "I'm a killer doll" speech. I think like Brad Dourif's delivery is great throughout that entire thing. The way he delivers "fuck Santa" is he put his whole ass into it. I love that. Like of all the things that he said, he had he was angry when he said it, and it was his last words. Fucking great. But the one thing I wanted to mention as well from this episode that I loved is Jake grabbing the fucking pizza cutter, and immediately, the moment he goes to step to him, Chucky's like, "Watch it, little Caesar." I saw somebody clip that on Twitter. And what does Chucky say? He's like, "Watch it, little Caesar, I'll blow that haircut right off your stupid head." Somebody clipped that on Twitter and said, "Why did Chucky gag him so bad?" And it was too. Like, I love when watching the show and not just a joke makes me laugh. I love when something written makes me laugh. Oh, when Charlotte said the line of, "Oh, that's great. Are you gonna call some Watergate era Ghostbusters?" I thought that was funny as fuck. So I thought this episode, outside of being like really fun lore wise, I thought it was hilarious. That like actually like losing my mind internally and like externally like kind of jaw dropping, realizing that I just shook my table, realizing that we're getting the body double as Devon Sawa's sixth character in the season in this series. 3 seasons in, he's played 6 characters. Insane. Oh, hi Herman, welcome, 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 welcome. Yeah, it was so funny and out of nowhere too. I love it too because like, how do I word this? I love that Chucky is not stupid. Like, think about that for a second. Chucky's not stupid. All right. So, like, for example, a lot of characters exhibit things like Chucky's doesn't ever not know something, if that makes sense. Like, throughout the franchise, he's made to seem a little um, simple, but like, he's not dumb. Like, he doesn't say, I want to target the North Pole. He's like the 90th parallel north, which is like, I have 2 cats playing underneath the door, which is like the government name of the North Pole. When he's like, "Oh, your birthday's leap year," he's not like, "What the fuck does that mean?" He's like, "I understand that's 229." That sounds silly, but what I'm meaning is it's good to have somebody like Chucky who's like, he's maniacal, but he's so severely competent. That's what makes him scary. He is informed. He would have you think that he's not, if that makes sense. But he knows shit. Um, Yeah, I love it. Like the dude is smart as fuck, and it's like he doesn't realize he's smart, which is even better. I think it can make somebody else more dangerous. I got this shirt. This shirt I love. I got this shirt last October. I got it off eBay because I love movie promotional stuff, and how can you say no to this? Um, and it was my size. I got it off eBay, and they go for money. And this one was not a lot of money. Where's it at? This is an actual promotional shirt from 2004. I don't know how to do this because if I stand up, you won't be able to see it. So I'll just kind of turn a little bit. You can has it on the back as well. The little Seed of Chucky promotional. But yeah, I got this on eBay, baby. I got it and it was severely wrinkled. So I think this sat in somebody's closet for about like 17 years. It didn't, I was like afraid of it like smelling and being bad, but like the print looks, you can't tell because my camera's all fucked right now. Come on, man. What are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? I'm just gonna end the stream. That's a horrible focus. Captain, come here. Help me with my camera, dude. Buddy, what are we doing? All right, we're just gonna do the rest of the stream like this. I'm not gonna show you anything anymore. There we go. Now go back in. We fixed it. Holy shit. This camera has a manual focus that I cannot. We're gonna fuck with it later. But yeah, that's where I got this shirt. The print on it, if I can show you, is really great quality. It didn't like wrinkle or crinkle or do anything like that. It's like really, really clean. So yeah, old shirt. I love it. Did I have any other notes in here? That's pretty much it. I do also like Chucky with guns. I like his reference. I've done a lot of times to a gun. He keeps talking about that. He talked about it at the end of season 1, and now here that he doesn't like guns. And I like that he put it into words. He's like, I don't like guns, but sometimes you're in a rush and you just got to get the job done, which I think is hilarious. He doesn't like to use a gun, but boy, will he use it. I also appreciate that Chucky doesn't immediately kill these kids. It's like it's supposed to be on site with these guys and Chucky, but it's totally not. Sorry, I'm going back through the chat here to make sure I didn't miss anything. Chat, clip that. Sorry, I had to. I think I got everything. Thanks for the love also. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. It's been great. It's been fun to talk to everybody. We have like real discussion going. This is great. I love doing this live. And I think doing this a few days later and obviously giving, not everybody watches it live. I love doing this, man. Thank you all for tuning in. I think it's weird. It's like a satisfaction thing. It's like he would have rather have died failing at killing everybody by nuclear fire than to have killed them the boring way with a gun. Is the way I like to think about it. Because could you imagine that? You imagine having an enemy. Well, okay, no, that's bad. You can't imagine that. You're not a psychopath. Well, I don't know you. You might. I'm gonna go ahead and guess that you're not. But like, yeah, imagine like if your goal is to kill somebody, like that's it. That's the only goal, and you're willing to not like for what? Yeah, I agree. It's a little funky, but I'm also fine with it. Oh, that's something else I was gonna say too. How Chucky keeps updated with things, like how in Bride of Chucky, he's like, "Oh, the music scene's gone to hell since I've been dead," and in this one, he's like, "I hope you're getting this in 8K, Devon," and I think that's funny. Like Chucky not only knows what 4K is, but he fucking knows what 8K is. Like really, and no, that phone's not recording an 8K, asshole. No, not a chance. His kid doesn't have parents, but he got the new iPhone that shoots in fucking 8K. Hmm. I think that's what it was, yeah, because he likes to traumatize people. I think that's what it was because he's like, I want. It goes back to the whole nuclear thing and Santa Claus. I want every kid who's lucky enough to survive Armageddon to know there is no such thing as Santa Claus. Like I so fucking stupid. Like that's what I was saying. Season 1, doesn't he say that? Not killing kids. We're not monsters. And it's like, but how old's the kid? And then he opened season 2 up with killing a kid who was pretty young. I mean, fuck, what was that kid's name? I remember he was called they had the whole Batman Robin thing going on. That kid had to have been like 8. Yeah, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. Henry's like, what? I love the ADR line that they added in with that. So it's so funny. What a fun, silly episode. Yeah, as many survivors as possible. I just love that though. Again, like this season, think of the stuff that the season has given us. Chucky is permanently dead, like disintegrated, gone. We got to see a death scene for Andy, which sure it was dreamed, but like in the moment we didn't know that. And then Chucky got to shoot a fucking nuke. So if you were to ever, well, I don't know, because I guess some people would probably get all really like, actually, I like to think he killed at least one person with that nuclear explosion. I don't care where it was. He killed some polar bears, but like, I like to think that now when you have the graph of like, here's how many people Chucky's killed with a gun, a knife, an axe, nuclear warhead. Like you can actually create that graph now, and I love it. Yeah, he killed some penguins. I also love that when the nuke is firing, they know it's going towards the North Pole, but they have this hilarious, incredible shot of Devon like watching the screen. It's almost like he's sitting there like, not Santa. Like he, it was just funny. I know it's not fun to watch a nuclear warhead go off. You're probably a little nervous, but in the context of all the information we had, it made it seem like Devon was really, really worried that he just saw Santa Claus get nuked. I also think that's funny too. So like the world's gonna know that a nuclear detonation went off in the North Pole, and the U.S. is gonna be like, it was a test. Don't even worry about it. But like that's still gonna work, right? Like the kids, like if a nuke went off in the North Pole, if Santa was up there, right? If Santa was real, he would have been vaporized instantly. So are kids still gonna think that Santa Claus is dead? This goes deep. These are the real things. This is why you come to Fizz TV. Nobody's talking about this deep Chucky lore. Do kids in the Chucky universe still think Santa is dead after episode 6? The big questions. Don, answer me. Why did you block me? He didn't block me, by the way. That was a joke. I would cry probably. I've seen people get blocked. I've seen Jennifer Tilly yell at people on Twitter. It's scary. I don't want to be that person. Yeah, Gary was older than 5 or 6. That's fair. Yeah. I think that's funny too. Chucky's like, don't kill anyone under 5 or 6. Andy had just turned 6 in Child's Play 1. What a fucking dick. He didn't care. I guess it was all about survival. He wasn't killing for fun. Oh, man. I am wondering what Caroline's up to. Like, she had to have been doing her own thing now for, like, what, like, at least 6 months? Because it seems like the president's been the president kind of for a minute. Doesn't seem like he's the brand new president. But also, I don't know how long you're considered president or, like, new in the presidential role. You know? It only I mean, a term's 4 years. So, like, is 6 months still new? Is a year still new? Yeah, she's not with Tiffany. Tiffany's in fucking jail. Tiffany's awaiting death row. So next episode, it seems like we're actually going to get into that with Tiffany. So I'm curious, what does everybody think? Does everybody think that Tiffany's dying? Does anybody who thinks that can I do a poll in chat? I don't know how to do that. Just if you're here and you feel like it, feel free to say. Do you think they will kill Jennifer Tilly, Tiffany body? Do you think she'll go back into the doll, or do you think they'll kill this body? What do y'all think? I am so curious to think or to like know what people think about this because I think they could go one way or the other. I could see her leaving prison and just kind of continuing in Jennifer Tilly's body and let's just drop the Jennifer Tilly thing. She's Tiffany, whatever. I could also see them, her having to jump into a doll and staying in the doll. I saw Jennifer on Twitter. Somebody was like, they need to get the doll Tiffany back. I miss her being a doll, not a boring human. And Jennifer Tilly retweeted it and was like, well, I mean, I get paid more for in-person acting. And there's that fun line that Jennifer Tilly has in the behind the scenes thing where she says, Tiffany can't die. It's in my contract. I think she's serious about that. I don't know why, but something like the fact that Tiffany has not actually died in years, I think that's legit. So we'll see. A soul split. I mean, she split her soul before. There was multiple Tiffany's, so that could totally happen. Like maybe a doll jump. She might be able to do a doll jump. I mean, she'll probably definitely be able to do the doll jump, but exactly that. Like the only problem with doing the doll jump is the moment that soul leaves that body, you lose Jennifer Tilly in the flesh. And they've kept this version since fucking 2004. So if you get rid of that, that's not shock value, random, weekly kill thing. That's like, okay, we're going to make this big decision. So that's why I'm so curious about it. I think the easy option is, yeah, if she just becomes a doll, then whatever, who cares? But once you do that, where do you go from there? Does she stay a doll? Is Jennifer Tilly just going to do voice work? They could do that. I'd be fine with just Tiffany and Chucky, having that. Or like teaming back up, just going back to being doll killers. I'm fine with that being where they go from here. But I'm just curious how. Also, maybe she does die and there is another Tiffany. But then you have, these versions of, again, if they brought this head back, that would be cool. But what do you do with that going forward? Because this Chucky he doesn't know Jake. He doesn't know Devon or Lexi or any of the shit that's happened in the past, like, 5 years. Same thing with Tiffany. If you have another Tiffany doll from somewhere else, that doll has not lived these experiences. That doll did not have that experience with Nika. That doll did not, have that, my name is Tiffany Valentine coming to Jesus moment. Chucky had it in Seed of Chucky. Tiffany had it in this season, where they accept who they are. That's character development. And to kind of walk back on that is scary. So, yeah, I'm really curious. That's you know what? No, I'm gonna say this. There was a talk of Chucky last year, or what was it? I don't remember when this was because I don't think I did it for season two. I was having like a lot of real life stuff during season two. There's a live on my channel somewhere where I talked about that exact thing, JD. I talked about that exact same possibility. They need to, like, Tiffany needs to take that Tiffany doll that Jennifer Tilly doll that got exploded and blown up on the side of the road. She's got to take that and stitch it back together like that, dude. Resurrect it, and then you have a doll that you can put your soul into. Absolutely. That's a fucking theory. And then you'd have Tiffany with the stitches. That would be nuts. Fucking crazy. That's how you do it. I agree. That's the way I would do it. Because, I mean, it'd also be sad. Oh my God, they'd kill Jennifer Tilly twice. Can you imagine that? Because if she's still on death row, she'll be executed. Also, they're in Texas, right? Because they're expediting. She's getting executed faster than I get Amazon packages. Fucking crazy. Real world, you got to wait like 15 years for that shit. They're like, you're getting killed on Tuesday. So that's something I'm very curious next week. I do think we'll be seeing a bit of that. I think in the synopsis they released, they actually said that, it'll be talking about it's like Tiffany planning her escape or something like that. So I'm very curious to see what my girl's up to, especially since she wasn't around at all this past week. So it's okay. She's allowed to take a week off. It's okay. It's cool. I'm calm. Just making sure she's safe. Making sure she's all right. Is Tiffany safe? Is she all right? I really thought Tiffany was using voodoo on the guards, like get herself out. That's what I thought too. Like, how far does it go? Like, I would think that if I had control of these guards where they're giving her like manicures and pedicures and they have like a cell phone and she runs this whole shit, I would be like, open the door. Don't follow me. Don't call anybody. Open the door and don't tell anybody I left. Like, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, you would think. I'm wondering if there's a reason or maybe there's like, there's so much red tape as to physically get out of the prison. Yeah, 2 weeks. Maybe she's already doing that. Maybe she's like, I want to have fun. Who knows? No idea. Um, it'd be cool to see Tiffany escape in the flesh. Oh, dude, that would suck actually. Oh wow, what if they do that? What if they kill Tiffany? Like kill her, like shoot her and kill her, like as she's trying to leave. If they kill Tiffany, like that's gonna I'm gonna open up. I'm gonna start the live next week. I'm like, hey guys, welcome to Talk of Chucky. You didn't talk about the new episode. Fuck. Because like I'm not ready to see Tiffany actually die. I don't want to. I'm not gonna be able to do that. Yeah, she's got control over the guards, but wouldn't there be like guard tower people? Wouldn't there be like people outside the prison that are also guarding it that she can't physically get to? I mean, I guess she could have the other guards get to them, but like it's a lot of people to make dolls of, I guess. But it does seem like there's some chaos. It seems like she's staging some type of riot from the teaser. They kind of blur together some shots. It seems like there's a fire at the prison, and there seems like there's a fire at the White House, which makes me wonder. Like, one, the riot makes sense, but two, with the White House, what are they going to do with that? I kind of like the idea of the White House because if the White House does catch fire for whatever reason, I would love if the characters are like, you know what? If this place is that evil and this spiritually charged, and this place is keeping Chucky and other people here, we're gonna fucking burn it to the ground. That'd be crazy. Also, I wonder how politically charged that would feel or come across if they just burned down the White House. Very interesting. I love also that this season has been able to kind of have this political undertone to it, and it is not devolved into some type of, shit slinging fest between two parties. I'm very, very happy that it's able to give its own, I guess, what's the word? Dialogue or um, thoughts or I don't know, contemporary input on politics in America and how the government does things without it beating it over your head, treating you like you're fucking stupid, or being like, believe XYZ. Very happy that we've had this season that's just like, what if the White House was fucking haunted? Like, we're not talking about anything else. We're not trying to be, it's just like, this shit, there's ghosts here. I love that. Absolutely love it. Because also, we're about to enter an election year. If you live in the US, if not, God bless you. Holy shit, you're lucky. But we're about to enter an election year. And it's gonna be a lot of angry people this year running around screaming. So it's gonna be very interesting. Got to get that ad block started. And that whole point is just there's just vitriol. There's so much vitriol in talking about modern stuff. I just want to talk about the silly doll, man. Let's talk about the silly doll and how he's trying to nuke. He's trying to fucking nuke the North Pole. Oh, somebody mentioned too that in the map when it opens up, one of the first targets is New Jersey. Like it's New Jersey and I think Chicago are two targets that are highlighted on the thing. So nice little reference that he would be entirely open to, like JD, exactly the White House to cleanse his homes by fire, to kill everybody he's ever known or interacted with. Ugh, in a personal sense, fuck him. But also, like, I think we're past that. I think we're past Chucky. Like, Chucky doesn't have, like, there's no humanity there in that sense. Like, he doesn't care if people die. Like, we've talked about, like, yes, sure, he does have his own twisted form of love for Tiffany. He does love his child to a certain extent. But also, if he could baptize both of them with nuclear fire, he would do it instantly for the vindication, for the validation. Or rather. Oh my god, we've been at this almost 2 hours. Holy crap. What was last week? Last week was about 2 hours, right? I know we got started late last week. Did I really go for 2 hours last week? A little less. We tapped out about hour 52. But yeah, this episode was crazy. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. I will probably start rounding this down actually, because kind of talked a lot about what this episode I kind of wanted to. It's very great to talk to you guys about it as well, get your opinions, and especially going forward, I like to kind of always talk about where we're going from here, especially because next week is episode 7. We're at the penultimate episode. So it's a little bittersweet, but also exciting. We're in the middle. It's fine. We still have some more left to go. Do you think Chucky will ever get back and do a new fresh doll? Yeah, I do think so. I think he will. I don't know how he will, but I do think we'll see fresh Chucky return. Yeah, I think we will. I'm trying to think of how to like word that and think about that because I do think he'll get into a new doll. It's just kind of thinking like putting it in those terms. I do think we'll see him back in a doll. I don't know if I think he'll ever get the stitches again. I know that's weird to bring up out of nowhere, but I've always thought about it. Like, will they ever bring that look back? Because for a lot of folks, that's like, that's how he looks. That's their Chucky. To me, my favorite look is with the stitches. And I don't, I don't dislike the clean Chucky at all. I love it. But I like the stitches. It's I don't know. It's just it looks cool. So yeah, I think he'll get into a fresh doll. Maybe he'll get stitches someday. Who knows? If they do the stitches again, that's what I'm curious. If they were to ever do the stitches again, they've almost like made it to where you wouldn't have to. Like the only reason he had the stitches is because he was stuck in that body. And now, now he's dead. But with the rules we have, he can take any good guy doll body he wants. It's a matter of having that body available. I don't think you can transfer your soul into a dead body. That's the only thing I think of is if a current soul got its soul into a Stitch body, like Erickson earlier was talking about if they use the bride dolls, which I think is the way to do that. So maybe they will bring that around. Because you definitely can. Gigi did it. Yeah, they could do it. They could do it. They could do it. They could do it. It's only up to them whether they want to or not. The Stitches are iconic. I think too, like if we're gonna have multiple Chuckies running around, have a clean one, but then have a fucked up one. But yeah, if they do the Stitches, would they be the exact same? If it was a new doll, would he gouge his right eye, or I'm sorry, it was his left eye, whatever it is, the exact same? Would he the little V that comes out of the forehead? Like how would that work? Because again, those Stitches are there because of injury reasons. Yeah, or you could do it again by making it the or you could do it by making it the Child's Play 2 is the doll from Stitch Chucky from Bride is the Tommy doll from Child's Play 2. You could go off that theory. Then there's actually pieces of the doll from 3 and then stitch that one together. But then you're doing the same exact thing as you did before for the sake of it, which is something I will very much give the bone to Don Mancini and his team. They don't do the things that they did before just because they can and it worked, which I respect. I respect the hell out of. I don't want to see the exact same thing over and over and over again. So I think that Chucky's been a great franchise and series that evolves. It changes. It keeps going. So yeah. We'll see. I would still like to see Tiffany with the Stitches someday. Doll Tiffany, that is. But I think that'd be really cool. Not a lot. I just think I like the fact that the Chucky Stitches in universe exist. Like I love the scene where this is gonna sound fucked up. Not this part of the scene, but I love the sequence in Cult of Chucky where Nika tries to kill herself. That's not the part I like. But she does that, and then when Chucky is like, no, you're not getting out of it that easily, pal. And he stitches her arm back, and when she looks at her arm, it looks like his stitches. Like it's the same aesthetic somehow. And I love that. I thought that was really funny when they did that. So I like that it's almost a gag. Like they just look like that in this universe. There's also the rumor that there was it was probably fake, but there was a title sequence that there was a picture of that they said it was the visual effects company that does the title sequences for the show said it was scrapped, and it's one that has the flesh and it's stitched together, referencing the Stitches. So I think Chucky references everything so much that we'll have to come back to him at some point. I spent a lot of time talking about the Stitches. I'm sorry. I also keep looking right here, and I keep seeing this and this. So I just keep thinking of, man, I miss the Stitches. They just look so good. Look at them. But yes. Oh, wow. We're at 2:04. All right. I am going to go ahead and start winding this down. I appreciate everybody for coming out and hanging out tonight. It was a great time. I am going to try and announce within the next few days when I'll be doing the next one. It'll probably be Saturday or Sunday of next week for episode 7, which I forgot the title of, but it's episode 7. And it's going to be a good time. Hopefully it's a good time. Again, I'm really curious to see what this, contention folks have with whatever they saw leak or supposedly rumor leak from this part of the season. Curious to see if we'll come back here all hot, heavy, heated, and angry next week. Probably won't. It's pretty hard to piss me off. Tiffany. Disrespect the Tiffany doll. There will be blood. Okay. Is the next title. Thank you very much. So just respect Tiffany, respect the doll. We'll be fine. But until then, again, thank you all very much for tuning in. If you're here now, if you're not here now, if you're watching the VOD back, thank you for watching it. I appreciate you. We like to hang out here, like to talk about Chucky. I just, after each episode, I like to talk about it. I like to share it with folks. And I can't think of, better way to do that than to do this. So it's always a pleasure for anybody to come in and, you know, have these conversations with me. Again, I thank you so much. The Chucky community is a small one, but it's a good one that I'm glad to be in, because we're having the best types of conversations. Our boy is having the best time right now in this horror renaissance. You know, we're thriving. So absolutely, I'm always here to do it. Thank you guys so much. If you'd like to keep up in the meantime, if for whatever reason you're not, feel free to hit me up on Instagram at Dudespooter. Over there, I post more pictures. I interact a bit more. Feel free to, you know, share anything with me over there. Feel free to subscribe if you're not. I got some more Chucky stuff coming. Again, I've been dealing with a lot of house stuff lately, and I don't do this career-wise. I wish, but so I do this when I can. And thank you all for, you know, again, being here. I'll see you guys next week. See you guys in the next video. Next week will probably happen before the next video. I've got an edit I'm cooking up. Hopefully have that by the season finale. We'll see. But till then, stay safe, stay well, stay warm with the springtime actually kicking in. And you guys have a great time. We'll see you next time on Talk of Chucky. So have a great week, guys. We'll see you then.